Welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. I'm Larry.
And I'm Vince,
Welcome to the show.
where we talk all things cryptid,
Sasquatch,
aliens,
hauntings.
and anything paranormal you would like to share with us.
You can reach us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
So settle in, open your mind, and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to Cryptid Crossroads 505. We're in the studio and we're doing it once again, man. Give me a shout out, Vince.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. Glad to be here. We had to wait until we could have our schedules aligned, but hey, today the stars have aligned.
They have.
Or shall we say the tracks.
Well, the tracks, yeah. Well, the tracks have aligned. So we're going to kick it off, starting out with our most recent trip to the Jemez. So we finally both got out and were able to go up there and spend a night or two.
And it was great because we were the only ones on the mountain. It was, school's back in session.
Yes.
It was the weekend before the holiday. We were literally the only ones on the mountain.
We were up there all by ourselves. No one to interrupt. It was nice and it was quiet. It wasn't really hot. Sometimes in the day it warmed up, but we.
Yeah, in the evening we had to wear a hoodie.
Yeah, it was a good time. It's always a good time when you go up there just to get away. But you know, we're up there and we can't say if it was a squatch, but we got a damn good tree knock.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course, you know what else tree knocks back? It wasn't a woodpecker.
Nope, not at 9 in the evening.
No, and it was
pretty close.
It was clear, yeah, but it was clear. I mean, we're just standing out there, and then we just looked at each other and said, "Did you hear that?"
Yep. Well, before it happened, I was sitting. I could hear something on the left side of us. I don't know how far away. I could hear something walking through the brush. I don't think he picked up on it because I asked him if he heard that, and he said no. But then a few minutes later is when that tree knock happened right in front of us. We were sitting at the fire.
Yeah, and we both heard that.
Yeah, it was loud. I think they heard it down at the lake.
Yeah, it was a good one. But did they come by the camp? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I do know. I was shining the light. I saw the eye shine. There was a little, I guess, ditch back there, and they were watching us through the bushes. When I would shine the light, their eyes would light up. Trying to show him, but
look, I'm deaf and I'm blind, man. What can I say?
Yeah, but also it's in the middle of the night. It's hard. You just seeing the flashlight, trying to describe them where to look.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I seen it. I would shine the light, and I could see it. It'd stay there for a second, then it would move away. And the strange thing about it was the color of the eye shine. And I've never really heard this before, but it was blue, like a light bluish. And I've never heard of that before. And so I started talking to people and researching it. And one of the guys I work with, he's also into the Bigfoot thing. He goes into the Jemez Mountains in Mount Taylor, and he actually told me of a place to go where there's a lot of activity. He's been going there since he was a teenager with his dad. But his uncle owned a bar somewhere here in New Mexico. I think it was a rural area. But there was a couple who used to frequent the bar. And the owner knew them. So after they would drink, he let them, sleep in their camper in back of the bar. No big deal. They were regulars. So one evening they came, and they hadn't even been drinking yet. And they asked him if they could stay there for the night. And he's like, yeah, what's going on? I guess he picked up on the vibes that they weren't their normal selves. Mm-hmm. So they started telling him a story about they went for groceries, and when they were coming back, I guess it's a rural area around Mount Taylor, I think that's where it was. But they said they saw something on the side of the road, and he told his wife, look, there's a bear. So as they got closer, it started moving into the woods and a little bit, and he said it was standing upright. And when it turned and looked at them, it stood there at the tree line. They said the eye shine was blue.
Blue.
And also, it just coincidence, I think it was a Small Town Monsters, or I believe it was Small Town Monsters. They have this new one. But anyway, they were talking with another eyewitness, and he also said that he saw blue eye shine.
Blue eye shine. Huh.
Yeah, so that's why. And when it happened, I got back, and I was talking to my brother-in-law. My sister and brother-in-law were in town, and I told him about it. And before I even told him, he asked me what color was eye shine, and I told him blue. I said it wasn't like the first time, because the first time I saw it, it was red. Right. Now I don't know what's going on there. The first night I ever seen it, we only had the campfire going, so that may have contributed to red eye, reflection.
Right.
But that night I was hitting them with the white spotlight. I saw blue, and he told me, he said he's heard those stories like a turquoise blue. So I don't know. It confused me at first because I had never heard of that before.
Right.
But I mean, if any of you guys have heard anything about blue eye shine, let us know, because that was a new one on me. But come to find out, it's not new.
Yeah. No. I mean, if you look at all the stories and everything, people do talk about eye shine, but most of the time they don't tell you what color. They just say, I saw the eye shine, the glow of the eyes.
Right.
Some people will tell you that it's red, but yeah, I've rarely heard blue. So.
Right. And some of the encounter stories I heard, they call it eye glow was red, because they're not even shining a light on it.
Right.
And that, I don't know. I'd have to see that for myself. I'm not saying it's impossible, but
Right. No. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't know why some would be red, some would be
right.
Blue.
And I was thinking, why would you even see their eyes at night? If you're not shining a light on them. But
Right.
I don't know. I guess the way the nocturnal animals, like a night vision lens, it just collects as much light as it can. Maybe.
Well, I mean,
maybe the moonlight was
I was
out.
going to say, think about some nights if the moon's out, and we know if it's a full moon that you're probably not going to get much activity. But there's some nights when the moon doesn't have to be full, but it still gives some decent light.
Right.
And maybe it's a reflection off that type of light.
Yeah, but that just gave me a whole new twist to think about.
Right. But no, I mean, it was a good trip overall, and I don't know if they've already locked it up, because here we are. It's past Labor Day, and usually that's when they start locking it up.
It might be open for a little longer, because we got hunting season. So
Yeah, okay. Well, I just never know. Sometimes you think, oh, it's still open. You'll make a drive up there, and the road's locked up.
Or else we'll go in the spring. Oh, it should be open by now, and it's not.
No, it's not. So, yeah, but definitely if we can get out there, we'll at least take another drive and spend some time out there before they do lock it up.
So if any of you guys know the forest rangers or the Forest Service, tell them we need a key. Much appreciated.
Right. Yes.
Please and thank you.
Yeah. Well, we'll be sure and lock it up when we leave.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So you heard anything else? I mean, anything new?
Just stories from the guy I work with. I'd like to get him on here. I'm not even going to say his name, because I don't know how he feels about that. But he's told me quite a few stories dating back to when he was a teenager, and this guy's probably in his mid to late 30s. Him and his dad, they've always been outdoorsy.
Right.
They go hiking. They collect what they call them sheds when the antlers fall off the elk and deer. They go do that, and he's just told me about crazy stories. There was one time on Mount Taylor where they got chased out of there.
I can believe that.
Yeah. So
I mean,
he even gave me a location. I don't know my way around that place, so I'm gonna have to look it up, or maybe when I go over there, I'll get in touch with somebody, show me the area.
Right.
That might be something for us to go, for an evening ride, or how we usually do, stay late. I mean, Grant's is 45 minutes. It's still roughly the same time frame as driving up to where we go.
Right. It is.
So it wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, that'd be cool to check that out. I went back, and do you remember? Maybe it's been maybe a year or two ago. They have Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix.
Okay.
And they have one about the Paranormal Rangers, the Navajo Nation Paranormal Rangers.
Right, I remember that.
I went back the other day and I rewatched that episode, and I'm just, that's our area. We're close. We're close. It's New Mexico, the Four Corners area, but I go there a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I go more than probably the average person because my wife's son lives there, and so we frequent that area. But I was watching it, and I was thinking, I've seen this before, and I've always heard and through stories and other podcasts that pertain to this area of New Mexico, that place has activity and it's heavily,
Right.
heavily active. And I said, why haven't we went and like walked along the San Juan River? Because
Yeah.
they were showing the footprints again. And like that ranger said, once they were showing the footprints, I'm like, this is perfect evidence, and people still are not going to believe it.
Right.
Because he was saying if he were to walk in those footprints, he would be taking 5-foot strides.
Right.
He said, I'd have to do the splits to step like this.
Right.
So-
Right now, that's a lot of it's Navajo reservation.
Yeah.
We both have a lot of Native friends from up in that area, and we've both heard stories. The area is the San Juan River Basin,
Right.
Around Farmington, Fruitland, and they've even had Bigfoot conferences up there in Fruitland, right?
Yeah, they have.
And it's perfect habitat. If a lot of people, they see pictures of the Navajo reservation, they see pictures like Shiprock or out in the desert, but what they don't know is there's higher elevations that is real foresty and thick.
Right. And I mean, along the river right there, there's a lot of tree line there.
Right.
And of course, the water, perfect. But they do habitat that area. There's habitation there. And I just was thinking as I was watching this, because there's several stories. They talk about Bigfoot. They talk about what could have been a skinwalker. And one of the rangers himself tells a story about when he was younger. And he had supposedly an encounter with the skinwalker. And the way he described the story, he said he was coming home from the movies, driving, and he was doing about 55, he said, on the road that he's showing us in the program. He's saying right down on this road. And he said as he was doing 55, that whatever it was keeping right up with him. And he said it was pale, it was white, like. And he said so he started to speed up, and it kept up right along with him. To this day, he's unsure what it is, but because of the folklore, he believes it was a skinwalker.
Right. And that brings me back to a story my friend told me about, this is a while back. He worked on the Fort Army base there, and right outside Gallup, and that's it connects to the Zuni Mountains there. And he said one night he was on patrol on a Jeep, and he saw something in his brake lights running behind him. Then he said it got next to him, and he said the way he described it looked like like we see on cartoons, the devil.
Right.
He said, but it was running next to his Jeep, just staring at him, smiling. And he said he would speed up, and that thing kept up with him. He was going at least 50. And he said it didn't leave him till he hit the main gate.
Right.
And then at the gate, that thing turned off and went back into the forest. And thinking back, now, was that a skinwalker?
Who knows? It could have been.
Right.
I mean, we hear of stories like that all the time. Like we say, the folklore for the Navajos, it's full of like skinwalker tales, and they just have some interesting cultural tales to tell if you could get them to tell you.
Right. And also the natives, the Navajos, they're not any different than most other native tribes. They all have some version of Sasquatch.
Right.
The Navajos, they're a little more open about it, but like you said, you got to know them.
Yeah.
We know somebody. Well, we have a few in our family, and they've told us stories that have been passed on to them. They've had sightings themselves.
Right.
And just recently, we received a picture of a footprint. We're still trying to... It's hard to tell from a photograph, so we're still looking at. We're discussing about it.
We're analyzing.
Analyzing. I didn't want to say analyzing because it makes us sound smarter than we are.
Okay. All right.
But it's definitely interesting, and the interesting part is He lives south of Gallup, and if you've ever been there, there's a lot of, I guess it's high desert. It's not real foresty. It's thick with a different kind of trees, not pine, but it does connect to the Zuni Mountains all the way back, shoot to Grants and further. But they say they're having activity around the house. They live in the rural area, and he told me a story just a few weeks ago. He was out walking his dog, and his dog's still young, so he's always running around in and out of the bushes. And he said he heard a whoop. He said it was so close that he could feel it in his sinuses. That's what he said.
Right.
And he said his dog just freaked out and he wanted to go home, but he wanted to stay on the path. He didn't want to go off the path. And he's the one who sent the print. They said they have the activities getting closer to their house. So it'll be interesting. I want to go to Gallup in the next week or so and talk to him. I don't know. They have livestock, so that's a possibility there.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go hang out on the property with them, wherever they're seeing the activity, and maybe just hang out for a night and see what we hear, see what we could record. Maybe we'll see one.
Right.
And then podcast is done. I'm done.
Yep. Officially completed.
Yeah, but it would be interesting to just go spend some time and see what's going on. And I mean, there's always been stories in that area, because like my brother was saying, there's different type of foliage there, but it is heavily populated with trees. So these creatures can make their way through there up into the Zuni Mountains, all the way to the Cibola National Forest, which McGaffey, one of the parks around that area. So
right.
And you always hear stories of people that drive the back roads of McGaffey, which brings them out, further down south in Rama and whatnot. And they tell you they see strange things out there as well. I mean,
now my the family member that told me this, him and his son, they use those back trails. They ride 4-wheelers and stuff, or else they'll take their 4-wheel drive vehicles, and it goes all the way to the McGaffey.
Right.
But they told me they see, like, off the beaten path, a lot of tree snaps up high where they couldn't reach it, and spots where a vehicle can get. And also, I found this really interesting. I want to see, there's some uprooted trees. Yeah. And a place where there's no equipment. I mean, no normal human could do that.
Right. No, it'd be interesting to go see. There's another place here close by us. It's on the way to Farmington, where we were just talking about Fruitland, Farmington, Aztec, that area, by the San Juan Basin. It's called Dulce, New Mexico. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's associated with a lot of UFO activity, supposedly at the underground base where aliens lived.
Right.
And there's been books written about Dulce and a UFO activity, but they also have a lot of Sasquatch activity up there. And I forgot what program I was watching, but they were interviewing 2 hunters, because that's an area where there's a lot of people that are wealthy that'll come and they pay these guys like anywhere from 10 to 40,000 to take them up in the mountains for an elk hunt or whatever they're going to hunt. And so these guides always have stories, and there were 2 in particular, and they were talking about when they first saw one, they had it in the sights with their rifle, and like others, they just couldn't pull the trigger because they thought it was human. Right. And they say they know when they come around. They could tell when they're by, and because it's a stench in the air. And they say they're close because you start smelling them. And they don't say like we've just had one sighting. They say they know where to go, and they're active in the area, the habitat there. So, New Mexico, people would think, oh well, isn't that a desert? But we do, like my brother's saying, we have places in this high desert that there's trees and forests.
Right. And this is the, I guess, the base of the foot of the Rocky Mountains. They come down, they stretch into here, especially northern New Mexico.
Right.
Now, before I want to tell another story that was shared on that Small Town Monsters. Before I do that, we skipped over one little part of our camping trip.
What's that? The UFOs?
Yep.
Yep.
You remember that?
Yep.
Okay, we were sitting there. I believe it was the second night or first night.
I think the second night.
The second night, we were sitting there, and it was relatively quiet. We just, when it's quiet there, we sit at the campfire and we look up and stargaze, and we saw these lights, these two lights. They were together, right? They're
Right.
moving about the same speed, but man, they were trucking it across the sky.
Right.
No beacon lights, no nothing. They're just two little white lights.
Just moving. But here's the thing, and like we've said in some of our previous podcasts, no, doesn't matter when we go, you're guaranteed almost 90% of the time to see something that you can't explain up in the night sky. Now, it's easy to see because it's so dark. There's no light pollution there. So the stars, they're abundant and they're bright. So you could notice any little anomalies in that sky. And
Right.
we usually see things
Yeah.
and that are not explainable.
Right. Now, they say we have technology that we don't know about. They don't release to the public. But some of the things we see there, I don't know. They just don't add up to anything we could have. That's just my opinion.
Well, did you get what I forwarded to you about Elon Musk? Did you look at that?
Not yet. I don't.
So I get the theory out there is Elon Musk has developed a UFO, and then we see it's triangular shaped. And the theory, what they were talking about, is now the government they want to know how he did it, and they want it because they want to apply it. They want to weaponize it because
Right.
it travels at, what were they saying, like 6,000, 7,000 miles an hour, something like that. And so they're saying this type of craft, it flies so high, it's undetectable. They could get to the enemy, drop their bombs, and be back even before a conventional jet got there, traveling at Mach 2 or whatnot. And they had a little video, but I was kind of caught off guard. I was like, Elon Musk, huh? No wonder why he says he's from Mars now.
Right. Now, is it supposedly a manned vehicle, or is it like AI powered?
I think it's AI powered.
Okay, I was going to say,
Yeah.
because see, that's my big thing with these spacecraft that could travel so fast.
Right.
How do they do it? Because
Right.
those G-forces would rip us apart.
Right. But let's talk about like these spacecraft that do travel that fast, and some of the people have said, we've seen them. We could see them in like as if they're standing at a window in the ship, because they said the ship had windows all over.
Right.
And they saw two distinct little bodies standing there. So if that thing were to zoom off, how do they do it?
Right.
Without the G-forces affecting them.
And then how about all these people who say they're visited by aliens?
Right.
How do they get here?
Right. Well, and here's my thing. If these abduction stories, if you're in that craft and they zoom off, what's the technology that it didn't affect you at all?
Right, because nobody talks about, oh man, I could feel I was being pushed back on the table. Or
Right.
Nobody talks about that.
No one talks about feeling G-forces. It feels normal to them. Of course, they say it was like a nightmare because I'm getting probed. But there's certain people that would probably welcome that.
Yeah.
but speaking of that, there was a girl that was making a joke saying that things are so bad on this earth. She said, next time you come down, please abduct me. I don't care if you have to probe me, just take me with you. But you don't ever hear any of these abduction stories of people saying, oh, I felt the G-forces when we took off. Or
Right.
no, they just say, I felt like I was lifted up off the ground and carried up into the ship. Next thing I woke up and they're doing tests on me, and then the next thing I woke up, I'm back in my bed. I'm like, but no one ever talks about
Right.
G-forces.
Unless they're out when they take off, or I don't know.
Well, I mean,
But if they have to have some kind of technology, because even if you're passed out when you get home, you're going to feel the effects on your body.
you definitely would.
All your organs are smashed.
They are. They're practically almost liquefied.
Yeah.
But just think about it. I mean, that's a technology no one's talking about. Well, if these little aliens, the grays, the small ones, whoever, how come it doesn't affect them? And like we said, people with their abduction stories I was taking up into the craft. Well, that craft's not going to go 30, 40 miles an hour just to protect you. They're going to zoom off like they always do.
Right.
So what is it that...
There's only one solution. We got to get abducted.
Okay, man. All right. Well, I just hope they have me back by payday.
With our luck, it's going to be like a bad carnival ride or something. We'll be throwing up and get this guy out of here.
I woke up and there was throw up all over my shirt. I felt like I was drunk. No, I mean, it's a legitimate question because I don't think anyone's ever asked people that tell their abduction story.
Right.
No one's asked that question. So if I ever get a chance to talk to someone that says they've been abducted and they tell me their story, that's one question I'm going to have for them.
Right. But before that, I'm going to ask some other questions.
Well, yeah, of course.
That is, I'm not saying it's impossible. I know it's definitely possible, but that one is a hard pill to swallow.
It is a hard pill to swallow, but let's look at Betty and Barney Hill. Just with their abduction case, no one believed them. No one believed them, but Betty Rubble,
yeah,
but Betty Hill was shown a map of the stars of where they were from, and they told her to remember it, and it was burned into her memory. So when she came back, of course, our astrologers and people, they're like, this doesn't exist. This is not a place. Well, shortly later, they were looking, and they looked in the right place, and it did, in fact, exist. So, they were looking at the sky this whole time, not knowing that these constellations were right there. And I guess as time went on, better technology, the map she drew is exactly where those constellations are.
Wow.
And they're exactly as she drew them in the sky.
I saw a special, I don't know if it was on History or Discovery, when they talk about outer space and stuff. And I guess there's a lot of, what they call them, exoplanets, ones that can support life.
Yes.
They said there's a whole lot more than they thought.
Yeah.
And they're finding more every day.
So exoplanets are planets like Earth that they believe can sustain life, have water, oxygen, and they're Earth-like planets. They're the first time I heard, they're like, there's 15, and then the number just kept rising. And there's so many galaxies out there that we don't even know, man. There could be millions of these type of planets.
Right.
I mean, if you ever think about it, just look at some of these videos from the Hubble spacecraft as they're shooting pictures and sending back, and you see all these galaxies. And if you look at a picture, you say, okay, this is one shot. This isn't even a 360 view. This is a forward-looking shot. And you could probably count about 40, 50, 60 galaxies just right there, because it's crazy.
Yeah.
And, so the possibility of other life being out there, I think it's very, very possible.
Well, I think it's very possible, especially if these alien stories are true. They got to come from somewhere.
Absolutely.
When I saw that special on all these planets they're discovering that could sustain life, the thing that went through my head is that's got to be billions more women, so my odds just went up.
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, but nope, I'm saving myself for Crescent.
Crescent, yep, she'll be back.
Yep, her and my 10,000 kids.
That's right, her and your 10,000 kids.
I'll tell our cousin, you think you got a lot of kids, buddy.
Wait till you see my food stamp balance.
Okay, no, that's enough of that.
No, anyway, I thought about that the other day because they're on the internet. They're always sending pictures back, and I was looking at some of the pictures that got sent back from, the Hubble and some of these other telescopes that are out there, and it's just amazing. We haven't even scratched the surface, man.
I mean, and the funny thing is that we know more about space than we know about what's in our own oceans.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy.
That's crazy.
So, hey, the aliens could have that underwater base. That's one of the theories.
Yeah, it is a theory, and you're right. I mean, we stay in the shipping lanes. It's like people on land. They stay on the highways. They don't go off. So, and that's another reason why there's some land on our own continent in the United States that no one's probably ever set foot on.
I would say the majority of the forest land is like that.
Yeah, so no one's probably ever set foot on them. So can these creatures thrive? Yeah, especially nowadays, as like we say, no one hunts anymore. So there's an abundance of wildlife out there. No one's hunting for deer, elk, meat, only during hunting season. And if you think about it, it's a small percentage of the population.
Right.
As to where back in the day, people had to hunt to survive. So these creatures living out in the woods, they have a smorgasbord. Everything out there that's growing, the berries, the mushrooms, the nuts, the fruit, the wildlife, they have an abundance of it because we're now city dwellers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So, it's just some food for thought.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But definitely. All right. Well, you got anything before
Nope. I think that's all I got for today.
All right. Well, we thank you for listening and join us next time. Hey, thanks for watching.
We hope all you YouTubers enjoyed the show.
That's right. And don't forget to reach out to us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
Peace.
Peace.